She wasn't supposed to be the story today. Wimbledon has its own headlines every single year: champions, upsets, rain delays, strawberries and cream. But somehow, once again, it's Princess Kate who has everyone talking. And honestly, once you see what she did, you'll understand exactly why. If you've been following the royal family for even a little while, you know Kate has a habit of doing this. Just when you think you've got her figured out, she shows up somewhere completely unexpected and does something that reminds everyone why she's become one of the most talked about members of the entire royal family. And this week, Wimbledon got the full experience. Let's set the scene, because context really matters here. It's the middle of the championships. Wimbledon in July is already one of the most iconic events on the British calendar. The queue alone is legendary, almost a cultural institution in its own right. People camp out overnight. They bring tents, camping chairs, thermoses of tea, and an almost unbelievable amount of patience, all for a shot at watching tennis history unfold on center court. Some of these fans have been waiting for hours. Some have literally spent the night outside, sleeping on the grass verges just to say they were there when the gates opened. And that's exactly where Kate showed up. Not in a private box. Not surrounded by a wall of security keeping the public at arm's length. She went straight to the people who had been waiting the longest, the ones who'd given up their sleep, their comfort, and honestly a good chunk of their day, just for the chance to be part of Wimbledon. Now, if you know anything about Kate's connection to this tournament, this part won't surprise you. She's the honorary president of the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. That's not just a ceremonial title she pulls out once a year for photos, she's genuinely involved, and Wimbledon is one of the events where she seems the most in her element. You can see it in how she carries herself there. Comfortable. Present. Not performing for cameras, just genuinely enjoying being part of it. If you go back and look at her appearances at the tournament over the years, there's a noticeable difference in her energy compared to some of her other official engagements. This one feels personal to her. But what happened this time is the part that really got people talking. Instead of just greeting the fans who'd been queuing, which, let's be honest, would already be a nice moment on its own, she didn't stop there. She went and got hands-on. Literally. She ended up behind the counter, taking on the job of scanning tickets as people arrived. Think about that for a second. One of the most recognizable women in the world, someone whose face is on magazine covers in over 100 countries, was standing there doing the exact same job as the staff, checking people in, one by one, with an actual smile on her face the entire time. Imagine being one of those fans. You've been waiting outside for hours, maybe overnight. You're tired, maybe a little cranky, just trying to get through the gate and find your seat before the first serve. And then you look up, and the person scanning your ticket is Princess Kate. That's not something you forget. That's a story you tell for the rest of your life. That's the kind of moment people tell their grandchildren about. And this is exactly why moments like this travel so fast online. It's not staged. It's not a photo op arranged for maximum press coverage. It's small, it's human, and it's exactly the kind of thing that makes people feel like the royal family isn't as distant as we sometimes assume they are. Now here's something worth pointing out, because there's already been some confusion about this online. No, this wasn't Kate, breaking protocol, or doing something scandalous. This is very much in line with her actual role. As honorary president of the LTA, engaging directly with fans, staff, and players is part of what she does. What made this moment stand out wasn't that she broke any rules, it's that she chose to do it in such a hands-on, unexpected way. There's a difference between shaking hands for 5 minutes for the cameras and actually stepping into someone's job for a moment, just to make their day a little more special. One is a formality. The other is a choice. And that's really the theme with Kate lately, isn't it? Small, personal gestures that end up meaning a lot more than a scripted royal engagement ever could. This isn't the first time she's shown up somewhere and done something that felt more personal than official. Just recently, she made her first visit as patron of the Royal Literary Fund, and even there, she wasn't just standing around for photos, she was out playing poo sticks with children's authors, competition winners, and local children at Ashdown Forest, celebrating 100 years of Winnie the Pooh. She unveiled an all-weather walking trail named after the visit, and she even told the group she'd spent a lot of time as a child playing that exact game. It's a small detail, but it says a lot. She's not just showing up to check a box. She seems to actually enjoy these moments, and you can tell the difference between an engagement someone is going through the motions for and one they're genuinely present for. That pattern is part of why the Wimbledon appearance hit the way it did. People are starting to notice a theme. When Kate shows up somewhere, she tends to find a way to make the moment about connection rather than ceremony. It's becoming something of a signature for her, this instinct to step slightly outside the expected formal role and do something a bit more grounded instead. And let's talk about the reaction for a second, because it's been huge. Clips and photos from her time at the ticket gate spread incredibly fast. Fans who were there posted about it almost immediately, and it didn't take long before it was being talked about across social media, entertainment sites, and yes, royal watch channels just like this one. People are calling it one of the most relatable royal moments of the year. Not because it was flashy. Not because there was a jaw-dropping outfit or a headline-grabbing statement. It's the opposite, it stood out because it was so normal. So human. There's something almost funny about that if you think about it. In a world where royal news often revolves around big formal events, elaborate outfits, or family drama, one of the most talked about moments this month is a woman scanning tickets at a gate. But maybe that's exactly the point. People don't just want to see royals from a distance anymore, waving from a balcony or standing behind a rope line. They want moments like this, where someone with that much visibility and that much scrutiny on her every move chooses to step down into the crowd, quite literally, and just be present with people. There's a hunger, especially online, for royal moments that feel unscripted. And this ticked every single box. It's also worth remembering the wider context here. This comes during a stretch where the royal family has been under an enormous media spotlight for all sorts of reasons, some of it lighthearted, some of it far more serious. Prince Harry has been back in the UK this same week for engagements connected to the Invictus Games, and that visit alone has generated no shortage of headlines and speculation. King Charles has been out and about too, continuing his packed schedule of public engagements despite his own ongoing health matters. Add in stories about renovated staterooms, royal residences, and even wider family news across Europe, and you've got a royal news cycle that's been unusually busy even by royal standards. And in the middle of all of that noise, this Wimbledon moment cuts through as something refreshingly simple. No controversy. No statement to dissect. No tension to analyze. Just a woman doing something kind and a little unexpected, in a place she clearly loves being. So what happens now? Well, if the pattern holds, expect more of this. Kate has quietly built a reputation over the past few years for these kinds of personal touches, turning up somewhere and doing something that feels less like a royal duty and more like something you'd expect from a friend or a neighbor, if that friend also happened to be one of the most photographed people on the planet. Let's also talk about why this particular moment resonates so much with audiences, because there's actually something deeper going on here. Royal engagements, by design, are usually distant. There are ropes, barriers, security perimeters, official handlers moving things along on a tight schedule. The whole structure of a royal visit is built around keeping a controlled distance between the public and the royal in question. That's not a criticism, it's simply how these events are run, for practical and security reasons. Which is exactly why it stands out so much when a royal steps outside of that structure, even briefly. When Kate picked up that scanner and started checking people in like any other member of staff, she wasn't just being polite. She was, even if only for a few minutes, closing that gap entirely. There was no barrier between her and the fans standing in front of her. No official standing between them managing the interaction. Just two people, one of them doing an ordinary job, and doing it with warmth. That's rare. And it's exactly why it went as viral as it did. For fans of the royal family, that's part of the appeal. It's easy to follow the big formal events, the state banquets, the coronations, the balcony appearances, the perfectly choreographed walkabouts. Those are impressive in their own way, no doubt. But it's moments like this one at Wimbledon that people actually remember. The little human ones. The ones you didn't see coming. Nobody plans their day around watching a state banquet clip for the 10th time, but a moment like this, genuinely surprising, genuinely warm, is the kind of thing that gets rewatched, shared, and talked about at dinner tables completely outside royal circles. There's also something worth saying about Kate's broader public image here, because this moment fits into a much bigger picture. Over the past couple of years, she's increasingly been associated with a style of royal engagement that leans heavily into empathy and presence rather than pure formality. Her visits to children's hospitals, her early years initiatives through her Royal Foundation Center, her hands-on approach with children and families during public appearances, there's a consistent thread running through all of it. She tends to gravitate toward moments of genuine connection rather than purely ceremonial ones. Wimbledon, in that sense, isn't really an outlier. It's just a particularly visible and shareable example of something she's been doing quietly for years. So if you were one of the lucky fans standing in that queue and had your ticket scanned by Princess Kate herself, honestly, congratulations. That's a story worth telling for years. You'll be dining out on that one at every family gathering for the rest of your life, and rightfully so. And if you weren't there, well, that's exactly why this story is spreading everywhere right now. Everyone wants a piece of that moment, even if it's just watching it unfold online, again and again, from every angle available. It also raises an interesting question for the rest of the tournament. Wimbledon runs for 2 weeks, and there's plenty of it still to come. If this is the kind of energy Kate is bringing to her appearances this year, it's worth keeping an eye on what else might happen before the championships wrap up. Past years have shown that once she settles into an event like this, more unscripted, personal moments tend to follow, not fewer. For now though, this ticket-scanning moment stands on its own as one of the most talked-about royal appearances of the summer so far, and it's easy to see why. It didn't need a scandal. It didn't need a controversy. It didn't need any exaggeration at all. It just needed a princess, a queue full of tired but excited fans, and a decision to skip the formalities and simply help out. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Kate's Wimbledon appearance, make sure you're subscribed, because moments like this keep happening, and we'll be right here to bring you every single one of them, as they happen, straight from the source, no exaggeration needed.